We continue now at the top of Daf Dalet Amud Beis Meseches Avoda Zara. This is Avoda Zara Daf 4b. On the previous Amud, the Gemara said that Bilam knew the exact moment when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry, and the Gemara continues and explains V'Yodea Das Elyon. It says that Bilam was Yodea Das Elyon. He understood the mind, so to speak, of the upper one of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Gemara says, after Das Behemto Lo Havayod, is it possible that he didn't even understand the understanding of his animal? And Das Elyon Mi Havayod, did he understand the knowledge of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And the Gemara continues and explains, My Das Behemto Lo Havayod. What does it mean that he didn't understand even at the level of his animal? Because when they saw that Bilam was riding on a donkey, Amrule, they said to him, My time lo rachavta asusya, why aren't you riding on a horse? Amar Lu, he said, Beritiva shadoylo, he said the horse is out, it's grazing in the meadow. The Gemara said, Miyad, immediately, Vatomer ha'ason, the donkey said, Halo anochi asoncha, aren't I your donkey? Amar Lo, he said to her, Latina bi'alma, that's just to carry loads. Amar Le, she said to him, Asher rachavta Allah, it's not true that you rode upon me. Amar Lo, he said to her, Akroi bi'alma, once in a while I do that. Amar Le, she said to him, Me'od chavi ad hayom hazeh, it was all the time, you were always riding upon me. V'lo od, and not only that, Ela shani osalach rechivos bayom, you use me to ride upon during the day, v'ishas balayla, and as a wife, so to speak, at night, referring to relations. Ksiv, it's written, Ksiv hach, it's written over here, hahaskein hiskanti, it's written by Bilam, it says, the donkey says, is this something that I'm in the habit of doing? But we're going to understand that to mean, again, the act of relations, uchsiv hasam, because it's written over there by David HaMelech with Avishag Hashunamis. It says Vatihi lo sochenes, that she was a sochenes for David. It's referring to the fact that she lay with him. Again, it's referring to the act of sexual relations, and so that's what the donkey was saying as well. Elamai v'yodea das elyon, and so therefore, what does it mean that he's yodea das elyon? Again, he didn't even understand das behemto. How could it be yodea das elyon? Shahay yodea lechavin osa shosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu koes bo. What it means is that Bilam knew how to find the time, the exact moment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry. And that's what the Navi said to them, Ami Zechorna Mayoatz Bolak Melech Moav. My nation, you should know what Bolak Melech Moav, what Bolak the king of Moav tried to do against you. Ma'ana oso Bilam ben Beor min Hashitim v'yara Gilgol leman das tzidkos Hashem. And this pasuk is a pasuk in Micha. And the idea is as follows. Amar Abelazar says, Amar lan HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Chalal Yisrael, Ami, my nation, Ru'u kamet sidkos asisi imochem. See how many good acts I did with you. Shelo ka'asti aleichem kolosan hayam, that I was never angry with you all of those days of Bilam. Shem ki'asti aleichem, that had I gotten angry with you, lo nishtayer me'ovde kochavim misoneim shal Yisrael. It's a euphemism. If I had gotten angry at you, there would be no remnant left from the enemies, so to speak, of Klal Yisrael. There would be none from the Jewish people left. Saradupal, there would be no remnant of them. Vainu dukamer le Bilam lebalak, and that's what Bilam said to Balak. That's what he meant when he said to him, Mo'ekov lo kavokel, u'mo'ezom lo zoam Hashem. What am I able to curse if HaKadosh Baruch Hu isn't ready to curse? I cannot curse Klal Yisrael. V'kama zamana, how long is the anger, this moment to rega? It is a moment. V'kama rega, how much is a rega? Amar Ameimar says, V'iteimar Ravina, and some say that Ravina says, rega kemeimar, it's the amount of time that it takes to say the word rega. It's a tiny moment. Umenolan de rega have a risk, and from where do we know that it's just a moment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is angry? T'chsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, Ki rega bi'apo chayim bersonu, it says a rega of his anger. V'ba yisayim, and if you want, I could say from Mehacha, from here, from the following pasuk, that first pasuk, Ki rega bi'apo, is from Tehillim, and this pasuk here is from Sefer Yeshayahu. The pasuk says, Chavi kamat rega ad yavor zam, hide for a moment until the anger passes. And the Gemara continues, Eimas Rasach, when exactly during the day is HaKadosh Baruch Hu angry? Amar Abaya says, B'tlos shoy kamais, it's in the first 3 hours, Ki chivra karvelosa de tarnagola. It's when the crest of the hen, when it becomes white. The Gemara says, Kol shaita v'shaita mechaver chivra, every hour it becomes white. The Gemara says, Kol shaita isbe suraiki sumke, every hour it's got a red streak. But ahi shaita, but at that moment of anger, less bas suraiki sumke, it doesn't have that red streak. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, Havimitzar Le'ahumina. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, he was being bothered by a particular heretic, Bikroi. He was always bothering him in terms of the interpretations of various psukim. Yom Echad Nakatar Nagola, one time he took a chicken, V'ukme ben Kari Da'arsa, he put it by the legs of his bed, V'yayin bo, and he was looking at it. This is Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, he was looking at the chicken, Sovereign, he thought to himself, Kimota hi shaita, when that moment comes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's anger, Altia, so then I'll curse this particular heretic. Kimota hi shaita, when that moment came Nimnim, he ended up sleeping. Amar, he said, Shma Mino Lav Orech Hara L'Mevad Hachi. We see from this that it's not proper derech eretz to do such a thing. V'rachamav al kol masav, Ksiv, it says that he has mercy on all of his creations. V'chsiv, and it's also written, Gamonosh Latzadik Lo Tov, punishment for the righteous is not good. And the Gemara continues, Tana Mishmeid Rabbi Meir was taught in the name of Rabbi Meir, B'shosh HaMalachim Manichin Kisrein Barashein, at the times that the kings, they placed their crowns on their heads, Umishtachav in Lecham, and they bow to the sun, Miyad Koes HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's at that time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets angry. That's in the morning time when they're praying, bowing to the sun. Amar Rav Yosef says, Lo litzli inish tzulusa de musafe betlos shoy kamaisa diyoma biyoma kama derei shasa. A person should not daven the musaf prayer in the first 3 hours of the day of Rosh Hashanah biyachid. He shouldn't do that if he's davening it as an individual, if he's not part of the tzibor. And what's the reason for that? Dilma kevan demifked dina, because maybe since right now it's the time of judgment, Dilma ma'ayne bu'uvde, maybe at this time they're going to look into his actions, v'dach v'ulei midchi, and then he'll be rejected. The Gemara says, well, Yachi, if so, did Tzibor Nami? So why is it only by Yachid? Even if the Tzibor is davening at that time, it should be considered a time of judgment. It should be problematic. The Gemara says, no, the Tzibor Nefisha Zechuse, the Tzibor, the community, the public, so when they're davening together, they have a lot of merits that they can combine. And when it comes to the Yachid, he doesn't have that. But the Gemara continues, Yachi, if so, the Yachid that Safra Namilo. So also when it comes to the morning prayer, the individual should not daven that at that time. And the Gemara says to that, Kevan de'ikat tzibura dekamatzlu, since the entire community is davening at that same time, they're all davening together that morning prayer, so lo kamidchi, so there he won't be rejected. So it's really only a problem if he davens musaf. The idea is that musaf was davened at different times in different shuls, and so therefore again you shouldn't daven at the time of judgment. But the Gemara continues and asks, "V'amrit shalosh rishonos Hakadosh Baruch Hu yoshev osek b'Torah." What do you mean that the first 3 hours are times of judgment? We said the opposite. We said the first 3 hours are actually the time that Hakadosh Baruch Hu sits and learns Torah, and it was the second set of 3 hours that were the time of judgment. And the Gemara says, "Eipach, you have to reverse it. It actually is the first 3 hours that are the time of judgment." The Gemara continues with another answer. V'ibay same. If you want, we could say liolam lo seipach. Really, don't reverse it. Torah dechsib bo emes, but those first 3 hours when he's learning Torah, what is written by Torah? It's written that it's emes, it's truth. Dechsib, as it's written emes kenei, that a person should purchase the truth, v'al timkor, and not sell it. So there, ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu also lefnim mishuras hadin, something which is truth, that means it's something where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to go beyond the letter of the law. Everything is going to be exact. It's an exact time of judgment. But din, when it comes to judgment in general, delo ksib bei emes, it's not written over there emes, it's not written truth. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu also lefnim mishuras hadin. There, HaKadosh Baruch Hu could go beyond the letter of the law. And Rashi explains, Lavo Rachar, it's not proper derech eretz l'chavein shas zamo, to try to figure out the time of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's anger. B'tlos shoy kamais, again in the first 3 hours, b'shas choron, that's the time of anger. Tetzafar nami, so then the Gemara said, well, if that's the case, even the morning prayer you shouldn't pray. B'tfilas yotzer, that's the tfilas yotzer, again that's the shacharis, a person shouldn't daven shacharis, also Rosh Hashanah at that time as an individual. And the Gemara said, Tzibura matzlu shacharis b'chol makomos. Well, when it comes to shacharis, they're all davening at the same time, all of the different communities. But tfilas musafim, but when it comes to musav, ho'elu zmana kol hayom, since you can technically daven musav all day, v'yisichas shacharis v'tzarayim, it's the morning, it's the afternoon, yeshem espalano sovaboker v'yesh me'achar, and some daven that in the morning, and some delay. And Rashi continues, V'amr, didn't you say earlier, Rishonos Yoshev Yosek b'Torah, that the first 3 hours, that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sits and learns Torah. Shnios done, and it's the second set of 3 hours that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges. V'hachamr b'kamaisa done, and here we're saying that in the first 3 hours, HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges. And the Gemara then suggested emes kanei, when it comes to Torah, it's called emes. You should purchase emes, hotzei hotzos al Talmud Torah. You should spend money to learn Torah. V'al timkor, but don't sell it, meaning bechinam lamar acher. When you teach others, you should do that for free. But din loksib bei emes, when it comes to judgment, it doesn't say emes. It can be possible to go lefnim mishras adin. V'hadechsib mishpatei Hashem emes. Now that which it says in Tehillim, it actually says the word mishpat is emes, mishpatei Hashem emes. That's b'mishpatim aksuvim b'Torah. That's talking about the laws that are written in the Torah. V'tzivam li Yisrael, and they're commanded to Klal Yisrael. That's what that's referring to. It's not referring to sitting in judgment. Kamishtoi, that's what it's dealing with. D'le'el minechsib pekudei Hashem yisharim, because it says that earlier over there in the pasuk. Musvei kol hashana hein shevach v'sipurei mai. So when it comes to Musaf of all year, so it's like praises. Avol Musaf Rosh Hashanah, but when it comes to the Musaf on Rosh Hashanah, mitoch shum espal malchias zechronos shofaros, since you're davening there malchios zechronos and shofaros, mifkad dino tfei, that is more of a situation of judgment. V'al yivrosh adam atzum and atzibor, and a person should not separate himself from the tzibor. And the Gemara continues at the two dots with a mnemonic for the upcoming Gemara, Yom Meid Taraf Beigel Siman. The Gemara says, Gufa, returning to what we said above, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, My dechsiv, what does it mean when it's written in the Pasuk, Asher Anochim etzavcha hayom la'asosam, it says today, to do the mitzvahs, hayom la'asosam v'lo l'machar la'asosam, today to do the mitzvahs, not tomorrow to do the mitzvahs. Hayom la'asosam v'lo hayom litol schar, today you do the mitzvahs, but today is not the time for taking the reward. The Gemara continues, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, Kol mitzvah she'Yisrael osin ba'olam hazeh, all of the mitzvahs the Klal Yisrael do in this world, Bos u'mi'idos osam l'olam haba, they come to testify for him in olam haba. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Yitnu eidayim, they bring their testimony, v'yitzdaku, and then they're justified. Yishmu, they hear, v'yomru emes, and they say the truth. Yitnu eidayim v'yitzdaku, when it says Yitnu eidayim v'yitzdaku elu Yisrael, that refers to Klal Yisrael. That again, the deeds they testify on behalf of Klal Yisrael for the reward to justify what they did. Yishmu v'yomru emes, when it says they're going to hear and they're going to say that it's actually true. Elu ovdei kochavim, that refers to the idol worshippers. The non-Jews are going to say that what Klal Yisrael did, that the mitzvahs, that they are justified. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, and Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, Kol mitzvahs she'Yisrael osim b'olam hazeh, all mitzvahs the Klal Yisrael do in this world, Bos v'torfos osam lo'ovdei kochavim lo'olam haba al paneim, they come and they strike the idol worshippers in the world to come, they strike them on their face. Shenemar, as it says, Ushmartem v'asisem ki chachmaschem uvinaschem la'einei ha'amim, it says that you're going to do the mitzvahs, this is your wisdom and your understanding, la'einei ha'amim. Neged ha'amim lo nemar, it doesn't say opposite the nations, ela la'einei ha'amim, it says to the eyes of the nations. Malamid, this teaches Shabbos v'torfos lovdei kochavim al paneim lo'olam haba. It teaches that they come and they strike the idol worshippers on their face in the world to come. And the Gemara continues, V'yam Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, and Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, Lo asu Yisrael es ha'egel, the only reason Klal Yisrael committed the sin of the egel, el liton pischon peh, le'balei teshuva, it's just to give some kind of answer for balei teshuva, that they're going to have a way to, so to speak, say that if the Klal Yisrael worship the egel, so we also should be forgiven for our previous sins. We should be able to do teshuva. It's just a way of being able to do teshuva. Shenamar, as it says, Mi'itein v'haya levavam zelohem liyira osi kol hayam. It says they were on a very high level at that time to fear me all of the days, and so therefore, how is it that they did the sin of the egel? Again, it's for a pischon peh for the balei teshuva. V'hainu dam Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. That's what Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Lo David roy lo oso mai. David HaMelech, he wasn't really fit to do that sin. He was on a much higher level. This was the sin with Bathsheba. V'lo Yisrael ru'uyin lo oso ma'isa, the same with Klal Yisrael in regards to the egel. Lo David roy lo oso ma'isa, David HaMelech wasn't fit for that deed. Because it's written, V'libi cholol b'kirbi, that my heart is wounded within me, meaning he had conquered his Yetzer Hara. V'lo Yisrael ru'uyin lo oso ma'isa, and the same with Klal Yisrael with regards to the egel. It's written similarly, Mi'itein v'haya levavam zeh lohem liyira osi kol hayamim, they had hearts to fear me all of the days. Elalam also, so why is it that they did these Averis? And Rashi explains, Lo asu Yisrael es ha'egel, they did, Klal Yisrael should not have done the egel. Kolomar gibor mushlitim b'yitzram hayu. The point over here is as if to say they had conquered the Yetzer Hara. V'lo hayu roilis gaber yitzram alei, and it really wasn't. It didn't make sense that the Yetzer Hara should conquer them. El gzeras melech haisa. It was just a gzeira from Hakadosh Baruch Hu lishlod bam, that it should rule over them. Kedei liton pischon pele balei tshuva. This gave an opening for balei tshuva. Shem yomar hachote lo ashav shelo yikavleni. Let's say somebody who sinned would say, I'm not going to do teshuva because I won't be accepted. Omrim lo. So we can say to him, Tseu lamad mi we could say, learn from what happened by the egel, shekafru v'neskablu b'tshuva, that they were able to be accepted in tshuva. Mi'itein v'haya levavam zeh b'sinai nemar. This pasuk is by Sinai. Alma giborim ve'amitzei leva b'yirasam. How you see that they were strong in their fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And when it came to David HaMelech la'oso ma'isa de Bathsheba, that's for the ma'isa, the deed, the aver with Bathsheba. Libi chol, he said, my heart is wounded. Yetzer Hara cholol b'kirbi. The Yetzer Hara is gone. Ve'in lo koach lishlot b'kirbi. The Yetzer Hara is not able to rule over me. We'll read the earlier Rashi as well. V'lo l'mocher la'asosam, not tomorrow to do the mitzvahs. De'in mitzvahs la'asid. There's not going to be mitzvahs la'asid lavo in the future. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Hey Amud Aleph.